We have some news. Tonight's theme number one is words or action. What do you think matters most to you, words or action? Or could it be a combination of both, right? And we're going to get started with this government shutdown story. So it appears like the government shutdown has now been averted. And I didn't get a chance to talk about this the other day because it was so much going on. But now that we know it is not going to happen, I do want to get into what happened just a couple minutes ago. And also, why did it come to this point? And what does this mean about money in politics? So we're starting off here. Jake Sherman, the House has passed a bill to avert a midnight shutdown. The bill passed 366 to 34 to 1. 170 Republicans voted yes. Get this, 196 Democrats voted yes. 34 Republicans voted no. A total of 0 Democrats voted no. Dems saved Republicans here. So this was a bipartisan effort here, even though 34 Republicans voted against it. No debt ceiling. House Republicans weren't at all moved by Trump's demands to lift the borrowing cap. Trump effectively was asking for one thing. He didn't get it. On to the Senate. So that's where we are right now. So by the time some of you see this clip, which will air on Saturday, you'll see the clip of the story. It'll be obviously after the midnight. But it's now on to the Senate. So they were able to avert the shutdown. And I want you to hear what Speaker Johnson had to say. We need to have a conversation about how influential, again, a billionaire like Elon Musk and his role has been in this particular activity. Listen to this.
I was in constant contact with President Trump throughout this process, spoke with him most recently about 45 minutes ago. He knew exactly what we were doing and why, and this is a good outcome for the country. I think he certainly is happy about this outcome as well. Elon Musk and I talked within about an hour ago, and we talked about the extraordinary challenges of this job. And I said, hey, you want to be Speaker of the House? I don't know. He said, this may be the hardest job in the world. I think it is. But we're going to get through this. We are going to unify this country, and we are going to bring the America First agenda to the people beginning in January. We cannot wait to get started. I hope you all have a great holiday.
So did everybody catch that part there when he said, I just spoke to Elon Musk? You know, they were floating around this idea. Some people were floating around the idea for Elon Musk to be Speaker of the House. And I was like, oh, my God, I think that would be a disaster. I also don't think that Elon Musk would actually want to do that. But that tells you something about the billionaire class. That tells you something about how connected that oligarchy is in electoral politics. The fact that Elon Musk, who is not a politician, did not run for office, but is a billionaire who is working with Donald Trump, how he has been able to just get that type of access. Meanwhile, a lot of you can't even talk to some of these, congressmen, and you are their constituents. So pay attention to that. How did we get here, though? Let's just go back and show you how we got here, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump responds to President Musk talk growing. Let's go ahead and dive in here. This part of what to know. So basically, Elon Musk was urging lawmakers to vote down an original bipartisan spending bill and said any lawmaker who supported it should be voted out of office. Let's stop here with that and come into the front. Elon Musk basically told Republican politicians that if you supported that bill, that we think you should be primaried, you should be out of office. Now, keep in mind, it wasn't Trump who said that, who's going to be president in just about a month or so. It was the billionaire Elon Musk who made the threat towards the Republican politicians. And many of them listened. Elon Musk, to Eric's point, he made it look too obvious. So for people who don't pay attention, and a lot of people are not as, engaged in politics unless it's electoral season, it's one of those things you may not really think about how big money and big money interest controls electoral politics in this country. But to Eric's point, Elon made it just so obvious. I mean, he put it all out there in the open for everybody to see. It goes on to say here, Trump later, after that, he echoed Musk's opposition, calling for a rise in the debt limit to be added and warning that any Republican who backs the bill should face a primary challenge. So again, Elon Musk there having that upper hand. Musk and Trump's opposition helped tank the legislation, which would have prevented a shutdown just before Christmas period, leaving the House Speaker Mike Johnson scrambling for an alternative. Some hardline Republicans have praised Musk, touting him as a potential replacement for Johnson as House Speaker. What did I tell you? A second spending bill, which would have extended government funding by 3 months, was voted down by the House on Thursday evening. The proposal included a 2-year suspension of the debt limit called for by Trump and add-ons pushed by the Democrats, such as more than $100 billion in natural disaster aid. That bill failed in a 174 to 235 to 1 vote in the House. At that point, it was 38 Republicans joining nearly every Democrat in rejecting the deal. And we'll get to the part of Hakeem Jeffries here in just a second. So this is showing you again the power that billionaires have over our politicians, right? So they answer to them. They don't really answer to us, even though they're supposed to. Now, Elon tried to push back on this. Elon came in on Twitter and said, first of all, I'm not the author of this proposal. Credit to Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Speaker Johnson. Second, this is a much better bill that is closer to being a real continuing resolution, but with support for hurricane victims and farmers, as well as reasonable extension to the debt ceiling. Clean and simple. If Dems reject this and government shuts down, they deserve to lose big time in the midterms. So, of course, Hakeem Jeffries was approached about this at that point in time. Take a listen here.
The Musk-Johnson proposal is not serious. It's laughable. Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown.
Now, see, this is what happens, because Hakeem Jeffries couldn't use the critique that I just made about billionaire interests controlling politicians. He couldn't use it even towards the opposition party because Democrats also are in billionaires' back pocket. So he couldn't use that excuse. So you see the problem with the Democratic Party not being the party for the working class? Because it's hard to sit up there and criticize the Republicans for their connection to Elon Musk when you're also connected to billionaires as well. People can point to George Soros to name a few. Now, there is one of the Republican congressmen did explain why he wanted to reject that bill. Listen to this.
Fox News alert now. The House has overwhelmingly rejected a new spending deal, despite it being backed by Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
What's the play tomorrow?
What's the plan?
Stay tuned.
Well, we keep hearing that. You going to run another bill tomorrow, though?
We'll see.
South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman voted no on the latest bill, along with 37 of his Republican colleagues, and he joins me now. Congressman, why were you a no?
Well, a couple of things, Todd. The original bill was 1,547 pages long, and the second bill was 661 pages long. Would anybody, given 12 hours to read that, sign that? Secondly, negotiating the debt limit was thrown in at the last minute. I just disagree with that. I'm not going to mortgage the future of the country, and I just disagree with Mike Johnson that we run it down to the last minute. We've got today at 12 o'clock midnight is when the government shuts down if we don't have an agreement. I've seen this playbook before. You take your time, you negotiate it, and I think this will be the last time that we are in this position waiting this long. So, I support Donald Trump and everything he's doing. He saved the country. But this last spending spree, I can justify that to constituents all over the country all day long.
So I wanted to pause there for a second because Donald Trump isn't president yet, but this is our first time seeing the Republicans go against something that Donald Trump wants. We expect the Democrats to do that, but there were 38 Republicans that went against what Donald Trump wanted with the spending bill. And that makes me wonder if things might be different for Donald Trump this time around compared to 2016, where some of those 38 Republicans, are they going to be a problem from him going forward? It makes you wonder, huh? This guy came out publicly and said, I reject this. I wasn't voting for this. You know, and we have an even more pressing question. Bernie points this out, but I want to remind you, he was just praising Elon Musk a couple of days ago. Bernie Sanders said the Democrats and Republicans spent months negotiating a bipartisan agreement to fund our government. The richest man on earth, President Elon Musk, doesn't like it. Will Republicans kiss the ring? Billionaires must not be allowed to run our government. I agree that billionaires shouldn't be allowed to run the government. But you were just supporting Elon Musk a couple days ago. You know, again, words or action? What matters more? I know the answer for me is action. Now, another thing I want to show you, and this is Chris Murphy. See if we make this a little bit bigger here. Chris Murphy, who all of a sudden has come to this conclusion that billionaires are a problem. Okay, so we don't know what's going on with Chris. Chris Murphy brought up something else that I do think you need to pay attention to. There was this spending bill, but there was also the defense budget. And he's going to point out something about Elon Musk that I think might give you pause. Listen to this.
Trump seemed to be on board with the bill, but then when Musk opposed it, Trump followed suit. So that to me is a pretty clear story. The people you have to negotiate with, if you are Republican leadership in the House or the Senate, is not the incoming president of the United States, it's his billionaire overlords that were not elected and are frankly working with Trump because they want to protect their own interests. Why did Elon Musk not oppose the defense bill, which has loaded with lots and lots of spending, but oppose the continuing resolution? Maybe because his bread is buttered in the defense bill. That's where there are programs that help his businesses and pad his profits. So you have billionaires right now that seem to be in charge of Trump's policy and Trump's positions that are conflicted.
Well, Senator,
and that's a big deal for the whole country and for policymakers.
well, Senator, on that note.
And they ended there, but this is the point we want to drive home. Why is it that Elon Musk didn't oppose the defense bill, which was also asking for a lot of money? Why didn't Elon Musk oppose that, ladies and gentlemen? Think about what he just said. So when you have Elon Musk, who has this type of attachment to defense, because the reality is it's true. If you look up what Kash Patel said, I want to show you something else. He pointed this out a while back. Listen to this. He tried to tell everybody about Elon's defense relationship. Listen to this.
So when I was over at DOD, we gave this guy
That's Department of Defense.
Yeah, sorry.
Or DOD.
Yeah. He is doing some cool stuff in space and everything. He's doing a ton of stuff that you would think is so global. He is literally launching this thing called SatLink, which almost no one knows about, but he's been building for 5 years.
Wow.
Which is free Wi-Fi for the world.
Which is amazing.
The world.
It's going to change everything.
And there again, no one's talking about it. You think the Democrats would be championing this, like, oh, I can be in Central Sahara, Africa, and get Wi-Fi on my $3 million phone.
Yeah.
You know, but they're not. And if you've actually watched one of these satellite link uploads, it's like a string of pearls being dropped in the night sky. It's really cool. I mean, we're all paying for it. This is why he's so rich. DOD's biggest contractor is Elon Musk.
That's right. Oh, very interesting. I just learned something I didn't.
I'll never get hired from him now. Can you edit that out?
DOD biggest defense contractor is Elon Musk. Because remember, he has SpaceX and some of these other projects that he works on as well. That's why Elon Musk didn't complain about the defense bill. But Elon Musk has also said multiple times before Trump won this election that the defense budget should be cut. He has given speeches about this before. But now you're starting to see that things are already changing. Now, he complained about the amount of money that was mentioned in that spending bill, but not the defense bill, because that affects his pocket. That affects him directly. So if he has no problem with the spending for the defense bill, that means to me, militarily, things probably won't change. And there's a lot of people that want the war in Ukraine to end. But if the defense budget, if that was okay as it was, how are things really going to change militarily? Because you still have to benefit those, defense contractors. So that's something to think about, folks. Words or action? Because Elon Musk said words prior to Trump winning that we should reduce the defense budget. But when it came time for the legislation to pass, he didn't oppose it. It wasn't reduced. He opposed the spending bill. This is why I like to pay attention to action. Dwayne says, cut the military budget. Totally hear you. But Eric brings up a good point, because what did this all mean at the end of the day? And Eric really hits this home. The government shutdown fight is basically one side, Democrat, only wants to give $10 billion to billionaires, whereas the other side, Republican, wants to give them $100 billion. It's theater. So does everybody see this? At the end of the day, both sides want to give the billionaires billions. So he goes on to say, to see what real demands look like, MCDS. We talked about this before. 11 demands, guys. We keep talking about 11 demands, and I'm going to drive this home going into 2025, because this is stuff that I think people really need to hone in on. And that is MCDS. Again, money, big money runs everything in DC. The answer to all why questions in politics is the same. Why are Democrats so weak? Why are Republicans so vicious? It's because they are paid to be that way. Corruption. Our so-called representatives do not represent us. They represent the billionaires, the banks, and the mega corporations. They must be called out relentlessly as what they are, corrupt. And I jump in here to say this. People need to stop saying that these politicians are unaware, uninformed, they were misled. None of these things are true. They're corrupt. They're not uninformed. They're not misled. They're not, I'm working on a different strategy. No, that's not what this is about. They're corrupt. Call them what they are. You have to do this. Demands. Having a clear list of demands is crucial. And fixing big money in politics and government needs to be at the top. Solutions. Flowing from the demands are solutions. A movement has to be about more than just pointing out all the problems we face. It needs to provide a vision for a better world and a path to reaching it. Toward those ends, see the 11 demands strategy. And when we go to solutions, one of the things that I wanted to go to really quick, let me see. Hold on. 11 demands for real democracy. The first part right here. This is what I'm talking about. Fix big money in politics and governments. Pass laws for clean elections and public financing and campaigns in every state. Do it through the states. Enact a constitutional amendment that says corporations are not people and money is not speech. We're seeing it happen right now. Look what Elon Musk was able to do. None of you voted for Elon Musk. Why is he making decisions? Start asking these questions. Let's bring this forward. Regulate campaign spending and lobbying. Investigate and prosecute corruption at all levels of government. Ban the revolving door of politics. Investigate, prosecute companies that use their jobs as bribes. Disallow former high-ranking employees serving as representatives or lobbyists. And demand radical transparency for all representatives and agencies. By the way, this portion right here, disallow former employees, high-ranking employees serving as representatives or lobbyists. You know who else agrees with that? AOC and Ted Cruz. That's something they both agree on. So this is what it comes back down to, folks. As Eric pointed out, yeah, at the end of the day, it is just theater. And two, the real thing that people need to take home is that a billionaire that nobody voted for was able to make demands to our politicians and get them to do what he wanted them to do. That's what you got to take home. All right, let's go to some of the comments. Eric, we can go ahead and go to part 2 for a tight VNC. Thank you for the super chat, David. Billionaires wear the pants in the government. Yes, they do, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, they do. Like Eric said, Elon makes it too obvious, way too obvious. Yes, Dan said both parties have been doing this for decades, and I've seen this when I was in the military. See, we all know, like, not we all know, but my goal was to educate more people about this, because the reality is a lot of people don't know. I've had conversations with like voters who are not paying attention to electoral politics throughout the year. They come forward during election season and they don't know the stuff is going on. They're just like, they know that they belong to one of the political parties and they're just going to support that party. They know that things may not necessarily be improving, but they don't connect the dots to the money. And so my goal with this particular show was to educate people about how the money affects everything and then what you can do about it. So those are important. The poll. Oh yeah, don't let me forget that. Let's do the poll, Eric. I think I forgot it last night. Thank you. How do you feel about the possibility of a government? I guess it doesn't apply anymore, but anyway, how do you feel about the possibility of a government shutdown? 11% said you were worried. 19% said I'm not too worried. I forgot the M. I'm not too worried. 53% of you said I'm not worried about it. And 17% said I don't know yet. Yeah, well, they did avert that, so you don't have to worry about that, fam. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.